You've been doing
That
dream
place
it,
seems
do
like sell
it,
it, you can later.
manage it, grow it.
No, dream it, do it, sell it.
Right, sell it, grow it, manage it, keep it.
No,
Manage
manage
Manage it, grow it, keep it.
Grow it.
Can you number those?
Yeah. So,
And just as like a pedagogical or educational process thing. So for example, Dream It, there's a section on enterprise selection. And this is like how we push Grow It back further along in the sequence. Dream It, there's some discussion of enterprise selection. Then we revisit enterprise selection and
Grow it after we
sell
do
it.
it.
And sell it. So not that Grow It is that specific to how to grow specific crops, but we wanted students to have that opportunity at least a couple times to think about what do I want to produce. And then to revisit that one more time before actually getting to the module where you're talking about the nuts and bolts. So I don't know if that makes sense to everybody.
I don't know if and people aren't necessarily locked into those because the instructors are going to be releasing these modules to participants, and so they can release them in whatever order, and there may be a little bit awkwardness, like you say, with the reference. But
I was going to say that. So they are modular. The way that works with PNE is they're almost like separate courses that won't be visible to the students, but they can be sequenced. But I would, if we do that, if we want to make it totally modular and be able to adjust, I probably would want to go back and change the language, edit that so it's independent of the order. So that's where it would be helpful if we decided if we wanted to go totally modular and freeform, everybody gets to order them the way they want, or would we rather be a little bit more Stalinesque and say this is
Coming back to Soviet
I
Russia.
know, I know.
It started with Alex this morning.
Corvallis's experience this year, though, was a good, it seems to me to be a good argument for being very modular, you know, where you guys ended up teaching just a few modules rather than the whole
Yeah.
thing.
it is an option that we've talked about for offering it on a national independent level, so that people can just register for one module and kind of test to see if they, as they need them. And so if they were modularized then that would
true.
help with that too.
That's right, I kind of forgot. If we're doing that anyway, then I would want to, we would need to edit, change that kind of cross-referencing that happens.
Yeah,
That's right.
that sounds solved.
Okay.
Would you have to change all the cross-referencing? Because if you then kind of hint to other modules, it might entice them
Well, what
to
I
take
need,
more.
I'll need to go back and read through everything and see how much
How much?
I do that.
Yeah, because it could be, you could reference it, not as if they've read it before, but another resource.
Another, right, not necessarily.
It didn't have to be as you learned,
Right.
but maybe
Exactly.
as you
Terms of
might learn.
tense or
Yeah.
something.
As you could learn if you want to have that's more money.
Okay.
As discussed.
As we said, yeah.
I'll add that to my.
Okay, that was actually a real growing farms topic. Wow.
Yeah.
I have a quick growing farms question. Before you had mentioned doing like more animal focused one, and I was just curious what that might entail.
You have to ask Heidi and Nick, because we've always combined them
Uh-huh.
and been okay with it. It's mostly Nick. Just listen.
Yeah. Well, what was your question?
Well, we've done more crop-focused ones. We pretty much stick to the crop part of it, and we don't go the livestock, but some of the comments we got were,
Yeah,
some people were more interested in the livestock part.
yeah.
We have done more livestock in the past, this year was,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So is it just more like
We've
farm
done more
tours?
both, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We just make sure.
But the idea of alternating between the two, that was intriguing when you guys brought that up yesterday. Of doing 1 year more crop focused and then one
Yeah, I mean, with Grow It, and
and sell
I
it.
think in particular with Grow It, we've been dealing with specific cropping systems and scenarios. So for example, Heidi gave a talk on the orchard idea. And just the way that we select the growers and the way that we select the site visits. So, and the examples that we use. So if we don't have anything in Grow It that's at all what you're talking about. Or if we do it, we don't have anything at all about, when we do the specialty crops one, about livestock handling systems, or, you know, we had food safety, for example, which might not be as big of an issue in livestock just because of the way it's handled. Not that it's not a big issue,
Right.
but, you know, we would talk about on food safety for sure, and, you know, specialty crops one.
But I guess I don't know what your question was.
Well, I just wanted to hear more about how you were tailoring it.
Yeah, we haven't done a niche livestock focused one yet. I think with, if I remember right, I think the last year or so we did it, Kristen and I did it, we were trying to make it a little broader, you know, I think we had the same feedback that it was too sort of vegetable focused in particular. So we were trying to kind of broaden that, and then now we've just been kind of, what you were teasing me about, having too many categories or boxes or whatever. And I struggle with things that are so broad, and it's just made me breathe easier to think, okay, we're going to be specialty
Are you
crops.
afraid of animals, man?
And then,
Oh, not anymore.
Some chickens.
Budgeting,
Yeah.
in terms of animals.
Yeah, and we did do like
Yeah.
manure management kind of things.
What
'Cause
what we
like-
miss with splitting them though is that we miss that opportunity of the integrated systems,
Integrated,
like
which is
Evergreen
huge.
Farm
Yeah,
does.
totally.
Right, and that's we have, our intent, or I think, is to try to figure out that too, is how to talk about some integration of, you know, for example, manure use, which we talk about, you know, in food safety and crops when we're specializing in that and rotations. But I think that it's like especially with Grow It, I think I'm always trying to get down to, you know, how do you grow broccoli? And so I, you know, yeah. And so I feel like we're maybe a bit more able to get closer to that by specializing in specialty crop, having that specialty crops focus. And I think over time I've kind of loosened up a bit about that, you know, that we're sharing resources and access to resources and decision-making processes and those kinds of things. But it's the examples and the case studies and, you know, that we use, you know. So for example, I mean, you know, we would have so for next year with the livestock one, we would draw a lot on all of the tours, you know, the growers that we did the livestock tours with last summer. And it's kind of an attempt to get a little bit more, I guess, a little deeper. Because in college, I never really liked survey classes, you know? Like, I always liked it. It's like, okay, felt like I was going as deep as I could in the topic. So I think that's...
It was interesting when Anita and David, they came as one of our guest farmers, and a lot of the questions were about the cattle.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really personally, I don't know how you felt, I didn't feel bad about it that we had because we were very blatant about having a specialty crops focus, but there was still half a dozen people in the class that really were more interested in livestock.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking too, is often when people take the class, timing is so important because they're like about to start, you know,
Right.
they don't want to wait a year, kind of what you
Exactly.
were saying. And so,
Yeah, that's what they say, you know, we want to get the background of, you know, okay, these are the resources that I have for my land, the business planning part of it. You know, if I can have the resources to find out this other stuff, that's great. That would be great.
One thing that's kind of come up, I don't know what the status of it really is, but we talked about a raise it type of module too. Yeah.
One thing I have a hard time understanding is, with your philosophy, Nick, is we never said we were going to teach people how to grow broccoli or to, you know, be specific on orchard practices or anything like that. I mean, that was never the intent of the course, was to teach people how to farm. It was to give them the resources and to share with them how the different farming practices can intermingle in this whole system. And so many of our farms are diversified with some sort of livestock species and cropping systems that, to me, and not to pick on you, but it almost seems like a disservice to just focus in one area. I guess that's how I view growing farms. So if we wanted to have a course, maybe a phase 2 course or phase 3 on how to grow specific crops, and then bring in all of the pest management specifically for that, that seems like a different course than what we've created here.
Now that we have Blaze online, I know Grow It's still in the works. Maybe for facilitators going through the course, it'll be easier because there's a more developed curriculum now. So that might kind of help with this issue, and then our advanced modules can't do exactly that. We can have our online stuff. We can have
Will it cause any problems with this online version and we're all moving to hybrid course if we do have regions that are offering separate, like specialty crop focus versus livestock? I mean, or does it even matter? Or it's just in the form of advertising so people understand?
I mean, I'm, along with Melissa, I'm in a spot with it that we're really talking about farm management here, and we're not talking so much about farming. And that the production side of it really comes in with the growing agripreneurs piece of the hands-on stuff. And that what we're trying to do with this whole farm management concept is give them enough information about the biological part of the farm that it integrates into their marketing plan and everything else, and that it's really not about growing sheep or growing broccoli. It's that you have a production system that then has to fit all of these other things, including your mission and your goals and financials and all that. And so, to me, I agree that it's never been about teaching how to actually grow something. That is something we also need to teach people, but it wasn't part of this course. Is kind of how I foresee it. But yeah, each of the sites has sort of evolved in their own way.
Just as an aside, real quick, because I heard these mentioned yesterday, what's the difference between growing agripreneurs and the small farm school? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they're small. Our small farm school is like a one-day event that's
Like a conference.
It's like a conference, and it's got some field workshops and classroom workshops.
like tree school, but for small
Like
farms,
tree
right?
school. but-
Oh, and that's just specific, that's just your,
Yeah.
you do that as an
At the
annual.
Commonwealth Community College, yeah.
Okay. And growing entrepreneurs is a,
Yeah, 7 months.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the way I've always felt was that to talk about certain principles and then to jump in, not to that we could never have a complete comprehensive survey of we actually address broccoli, radishes, and carrots, and tomatoes, and whatever berries, blah, 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 but that there's some, because when I'm talking to beginning farmers, it's like they jump from,